The US Senate has voted to advance a war powers resolution which could prevent the president from using military force against Iran without congressional approval. A handful of Republicans joined Democrats to pass the bill in a rare rebuke of Donald Trump. It is the first step towards full approval of the resolution, which Trump is expected to veto if it passes the Senate and the House. Well, for more, we're joined now by Foad Izadi. He is an associate professor at the University of Tehran. He joins me from the Iranian capital. Thanks for being with us once again, sir. If we can begin with this US Senate vote, how is that being viewed in Iran? Does it change the calculations there at all?
You know, people in Iran, officials, the ordinary citizens realize that this is not a war of American people. Majority of Americans oppose this war. Majority of Americans disapprove or have been disapproving Trump's job performance, including on its war in Iran. And in the U.S. Congress, now you have this resolution passing in the Senate. They had a vote in the House. The results were 212, so they had a tie. And next time they have this vote in the House, they may actually pass it in the House. It is true that Trump may veto it, but we need to remember that this is the U.S. legislative branch, and for the war, Trump needs to get budget from the same people. So although he can veto this legislation, he cannot veto the fact that he is not going to get the money that he needs for continuation of the war. And that becomes actually more important than the vote that we witnessed in the Senate a few hours ago.
Right.
And these things are understood by people in Iran.
Yeah. At the same time, we're hearing plenty more from Trump and J.D. Vance about potentially restarting attacks, and at the same time basically saying that progress is being made in negotiations. What do you make of those mixed messages, and where do you think things are going to fall in the next few days?
You know, this is what Trump has been saying from the beginning, since the ceasefire started. And one reason he talks about negotiations going well is because he wants to control oil prices. He's under a lot of pressure internally. One reason this war is not popular is because Americans are paying for this war, not just the missiles that are headed towards Iran, but they're paying at the gas stations. So that is the reason for that. And what Iran has been telling the other side is that we need to make sure that this is the end of war. Trump is going to be president for another 2.5 years, more than that. So we don't want to visit this type of attacks again in a few weeks or a few months.
Right.
And then Iran has suffered $250 billion of damages. That money needs to be paid to Iran. These are the two principal asks that Iran has, and these, in the mind of Iranian leaders, are quite reasonable asks to have.
At the same time, Iran's foreign minister says a deal is almost within reach, but like you say, the US is still asking for too much. Have you seen a change in Tehran in regards to its desire to progress talks?
You know, Iran was interested in a diplomatic solution before the war started. You remember the Omani foreign minister's interview with CBS News. He said an agreement was available within 24 hours, and Trump and Netanyahu attacked Iran right after that interview. Iran still wants to have a diplomatic solution. As you know, Iran is the underdog here. Iran is facing two nuclear regimes. Iran doesn't have any nuclear weapons. And the U.S. spends 100 times more on its military in comparison to Iran. So the fact that Iran has been able to defend itself in the minds of Iranian is a major achievement. But they want this war to be really ended in Iran and also in Lebanon and the whole region. And this is what Iranians are aiming for. And the other side, Trump has a choice to make, whether he wants to continue. He's not going to, take over Iranian oil or change Iran's government or change Iran's borders. If he realizes that, then we can have a diplomatic solution. If he wants to continue the policies of the past, then you may not have a diplomatic solution.
We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you so much, Foad Izadi, Associate Professor at the University of Tehran.